logs in. All right, good evening, everybody. This is the Chesapeake District webinar, our monthly Civitan membership and retention workshop. And today we're going to be talking about a few different things, but the highlight of this, or the focus of this, not only tonight, but including future fourth Sunday of the month workshops, is going to be intentional recruiting. And one of the things I'm sharing on my screen right now is the Civitan Recruiting Toolkit. And ironically, Chesapeake District was one of the first that was ever using this toolkit. And it talks about having a plan that clubs will complete a self-evaluation form. Now, that form is available, and I'm going to be reviewing that later during this this workshop. And it asks pertinent questions to be able to find out what your intentional recruiting plan would be. And then using that plan, that self-evaluation form, then you see these pictures like of Kendra in the top left, and then you've got this kind of logo banner, social media type of picture, and so forth. So Megan Mendel, who's our Civitan International membership person, developed these through Canva. And Canva is a great way to put together flyers and various different social media type things. So we have Miles Miller and we have Mary DeCohen from the Capital Region Civitan Club, and we have Crystal Payne from Waynesboro Club. So I wanted to ask you, have you completed the self-evaluation form yet?
Short answer for us is no, but it has been started.
It has been started. Okay, good. Crystal, has the Waynesboro Club also started one?
I started ours. I'm like Miles. It's in the works, but I had a couple issues with some questions, so I'm glad that you're going to go over this, and maybe I can get past those questions.
Great. Sounds good. So the membership specialist, and I have filled out this evaluation form for the new club that we just chartered, the 270 Corridor Civitan Club in Rockville. We were chartered on September 28th and had our charter celebration just this past Wednesday. And we used these social media posts. The Facebook page sports a logo that Megan Mendel created in Canva. So I've been through this process. Now, we didn't use all of the flyers that Megan provided, and one of the reasons for that, we'd already created a brochure and we already created some other flyers, so we didn't want to kind of shift gears during that process. But they do have some various different flyers, and they're new and different. What I understand is brochures is kind of old school nowadays, that flyers are more popular, more flyers that you can put on social media like LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and so forth. So with the younger membership specialists that we have at International, they're bringing some of that how-to into clubs that may even have an aging population that need to kind of refresh and use some different type of flyers and branding. So again, on the left-hand side, as you see these graphics, these are what are provided by our membership specialist and allow you to post these in various different things. Here's some flyers, membership application that's been created in a different way, so it's not in a brochure. It's not just an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And these are, I believe, JPEG pictures. Once Canva downloads, and you can just copy or you can paste that or input it, no, I guess import it into a Word document, and you can go ahead and put these side by side, or you can make it a two-sided document or something like that. On the right-hand side, again, is a flyer. Talks about the Peninsula Club, when it was founded, the service projects that they do, the fellowship that they have, and you'll notice that there's every single one of these has an email address, at least, maybe a Facebook link. You know, it's always hard to size one of these graphics for Facebook. Well, they create this for you in the right size. So like this one here that says, come be a part of the big picture. This size, if I recall, is the Facebook banner size, while the earlier ones in this could be your profile for your Facebook page. Here's another flyer over here with some quotes, includes dues information. Over on the right-hand side here is another one. I've used this one in my Facebook post, just sent out a post of when we're going to meet, and then I had this as a graphic. Graphics make it a lot better for people to notice it on Facebook. Any questions on these before I go to the self-evaluation form?
All good.
I like the use of the photos too, and that's something that you will need to provide her with these photos, obviously. She's not going to be able to get that unless you had them out there on a Facebook page that she could get. This is the one I was referring to that could be the Facebook page profile, you know, the square type thing. This would be the one for that. And to let you know too, the event banner is a different size than the Facebook page banner. So that's the other thing that in Canva, they have that size, and you can, once you get used to Canva, you can kind of play around with it and copy and paste some of these other flyers and information into a different size. All right, well, let me change my share to the self-evaluation form. And these, it sounds like the group here has this information already or has this form. If you don't have this form already, please email Civamark, like Civitan, civamark@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to send you the intentional recruiting flyer as well as the Peninsula Club examples to just have available so you can share it with your club as well. So some basics that's in here: where is your club located, when your meetings are held, what are your quarterly dues. And as you read this, you can kind of see, now that you looked at those graphics, you can kind of see this is how Megan finds out your dues and finds out the different times and dates of your meetings. Now, what's the average age of your club? So Megan's trying to get an idea of what your average age and demographics that you have, as well as who you're trying to attract. What's the best way to get in contact with your club? You notice that Peninsula had a Gmail account. Gmail accounts are free, very easy to sign up for. So that might be a good way to have your club contacted versus it contacting a president. That you may end up at that flyer is at the end of a fiscal year and the president's changed and now it's going to the wrong person all of a sudden. So this way, if you have it going to a Gmail account that's for the club, that can be a little bit better. Phone numbers, we still kind of have to have somebody's phone number. You can't really have a club phone number per se. What types of projects does your club participate in? This is kind of like what's your top 3 projects or your top 5 projects that you would like to show off on a flyer? And that could be fundraisers as well, but a lot of times these are going to be hands-on projects that will have interest in people wanting to participate in them. What causes is your club involved in? Do you do Special Olympics, Civitan International Research Center, Junior Civitan? local organizations that help individuals with disabilities or homeless, hungry? What are the causes that your club focus on? And then why has your club chosen these projects and causes to be involved with? Please include a few personal club member why statements. Why are club members participating in this particular project? What's the why? These are great things to be able to quote in there and to share. I'm going to stop at this point and see if there's any questions from Mary, Miles, or Crystal.
I'm good here, Mark.
Okay, anyone else? All right. Go ahead.
I had a problem with the causes. I mean, I don't know what cause we have technically until this month when we got invited to help with this special needs parent group. So, you know, it's taken us like 7 years to find our niche, and
okay.
So that has helped me to be able to get past the questions on this thing.
Well, can I ask you what other projects over the years even that you may have done for or donations that you've given to organizations? What organizations have you?
Well, we've collected coats. We've collected food. We used to meet at a restaurant that had this little 1 scoop of ice cream. It was called Just Enough, and it was a dessert. And the month that at Christmas time that we met, anybody that came into the restaurant that bought a canned food item and put into the box, the community box that he had sitting at the front of the store, then could have a Just Enough for free. But we stopped meeting at that restaurant for a while because people got tired of the food. We're now back at that restaurant, so I'm thinking maybe we need to go back and ask him if he will do that for us again and donate it to our local food bank. So, I mean, that was one project.
Well, you know, and that's the thing. You can look at causes as being organizations you provide services or items for, like the food and so forth. But it could also be the whole actual cause. You know, the feeding hungry people, or helping the homeless, or helping be an advocate for people in wheelchairs. Helping organizations that help individuals with developmental disabilities. So the cause can be an organization, or it could actually be kind of an idea of what your club is really focused on. And like you said, and that can evolve over time, and it can be as wide or as narrow a focus as the club wants to have.
Okay.
Well, Crystal, your group is always involved with autism and the local schools and things like that, as far as with, most of your members having autistic kids.
Yeah, we do have that. I just think that we've had a hard time. We haven't found the right fundraiser yet, and I'm not sure what the problem is there. But projects, we've found plenty of projects. We always are with the nursing homes and helping them with, sing-alongs and caroling and bingo. So we do that. That's the one thing we have. But that we don't get too much extra participation from anybody outside the nursing home as far as membership and getting any kind of awareness about who we are.
And that is a good measure of projects and other types of fundraisers that, if the members are coming out for them and participating in them, which ones are they more active, involved in than others? If you do help, like in this case, it talks about Special Olympics. If you talk about Special Olympics, is it going to the, state games or local games? Is it helping to coach? Is it helping to keep track of scoring? Helping them with medals and food and so forth. So there's different aspects that can help those causes as well. So on this question here, is based on your projects and causes, who are good people in your community to target for your new membership? And that gives an example of your club supports Special Olympics. Maybe you would be targeting Special Olympics volunteers, community coaches, officials, people who work for Parks and Rec and so forth. So it gives you kind of some examples. And you mentioned autism, Mary, and I'm going to also share with you what Greater Richmond is doing related to some organizations and people who help individuals with autism. So we'll be talking about that later today as well. Number 10, where can you go in your community to recruit these people? Businesses, community functions, etc. We had a very successful time with working Capital Region, with the Chamber of Commerce, same thing with the Rockville Chamber of Commerce. We were able to use that as a source. In each one of those, we went to those meetings, went to the lunches, went to the networking opportunities, mixers, and so forth. So joining a chamber is one thing, but you really have to work it. You have to show up. You have to hand out flyers. You have to talk to people. You have to get their business cards. And then you have to follow up. You have to contact them over and over and over again. A weekly email, a phone call, inviting them to the pre-charter meetings in our case, but inviting them to your meetings, invite them to your projects. A lot of people will sign up for a project before they want to go to a meeting because a lot of people don't want to go to meetings. Door to door is another way to do it. Sending out letters to people and organizations is another way to do it. So there's a lot of different ways. Not every person is going to be reached in one way. You can't just do emails. You can do emails, have one person do emails, and then somebody else in your club could make phone calls or go to the Chamber of Commerce function. So you can split up the duties, but you can't really say that we're just doing social media. We're not doing anything else. You need to have a wide variety of different avenues to be able to contact these people. So in this number 10, you want to talk about, the Chamber of Commerce may be too expensive for you to have your club involved with that. So you may have to look at other opportunities of other community functions that you can go to. A lot of clubs have set up a volunteer sign-up table at a fair or a festival. A lot of times they provide those for nonprofit organizations for no charge. And so, and the idea would be is you'd have a table, you'd have maybe a drawing perhaps for maybe a gift basket, and get their information from that avenue. Stand in front of the table rather than sitting behind the table so you can pass out your flyers to people who just walk by. It can be just as much as a Civitan awareness project as it is a recruitment project, but you're going to start meeting people that way, and that can be very, very useful in your recruiting efforts. Any thing to add there or questions on that one? Okay, they said yes. What comes next? Once we recruit people, what can we do to improve the retention for these individuals? Retention can be a tough thing for clubs to do, and a lot of it's preventive rather than after the fact. I tell a story sometimes about a member of a club, Henderson Civitan Club that we had, and she was in the club for about 2 years. She was a banker. She always wore her banker name badge. And suddenly she quit one day, and we asked her why, and then she said it was because she never got a Civitan name badge, and she didn't think that she was really a part of the club. And, you know, looking back, we changed secretaries. The new secretary didn't realize it was her job. She probably was never initiated, so nobody noticed that she didn't have a name badge and just assumed that she wanted to wear her work name badge instead. But feelings, getting hurt feelings is one reason we do have people leave our organization. And that's a difficult thing. We're working with personalities. We're working with various different individuals and individuals' needs. Some people love to get recognition. Other people don't like recognition and don't like to be put on the spot. So you have to kind of see from each of your new members what they want to do and what they are focused on. And one of the best ways is to get them activated from the very beginning, initiate them, get them involved in the grant process so that you can get the $500 grant, new sponsor grant. That can be helpful to get them activated, because in that grant process, they have to go to meetings, they have to participate in projects. See if they want to do a candy box, see if they want to sell fruitcake or White House ornaments or onions. Get them activated in that. Find out what they want to do. Are they interested in helping with elderly, or is it youth? Because that can be a big difference. If you have a new member that wants to help youth, and you only have this project coming up with the nursing home, well, maybe we need to look for a youth project that follows that, or something that the new member would like to maybe even chair. So getting them involved, getting them to recruit other members, you know, invite their friends, their family, wherever they work or go to school or whatever the case, they can invite individuals, and because that's a buy-in. If you have a member that recruits a new member, there's a lot to be said about there, especially when it comes to retention. Any other ideas that you have on how to retain or activate new members? The next part.
No, I think.
Go ahead,
No,
Mike.
I'm sorry, Mark. I was just going to say, I think you hit most of the ones that I could think of.
The number 12 is interesting too. What roles do you need filled in your club? Let's say, for instance, that you have a situation where you don't really have a treasurer. You have somebody that might be doing that role, but that's not really their forte, and they only did it because nobody else would. You can do some intentional recruiting based on that need. I tell the story about that club that I didn't have a treasurer, and so what I decided to do, well, I'm going to contact CPA firms and find out if I can get someone that is in one of those firms to be a member of our club. And we were going to have a recruitment meeting. It was going to be an after-hours appetizers, and we had a video or slideshow showing the different projects. When we had kind of a project fair where we had various different projects that were on the table with the pictures and any type of hands-on things or scrapbook of the project. And so I started calling these firms and asking if I could invite them to this recruitment meeting. And about the third phone call, I got a man that says, you know, I'm not interested, but I'll help you find a CPA to join your club. And so I said, great, that's awesome, thank you. And so he came to the recruitment meeting. He had to leave early because he had another engagement afterwards, so I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but I followed up. I called him, said, hey, why don't we do lunch so that we can kind of talk about this and how we can find an individual to join our club that's a CPA. And so we met for lunch, and we sat there and talked about it. And I said, so what do you think of the club? And he said, I really love the projects you're doing. You're doing a great job, and I'm definitely pleased with the club and what they're doing, very impressed with the club and what they're doing. And I said, well, do you think you can help me find somebody to join? And he goes, well, I've decided to join. And he had his application, and just like a CPA, he had his initiation dues and first year dues check with him. And so we recruited a member, and that's exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about intentional recruiting. We're intentionally recruiting people that will fill gaps in our club. If you need a secretary, who do you look for? If you need a treasurer, who do you look for? If you need a future leader, if you need a director, nonprofits in general have to go out and recruit these individuals to be a part of their organization. They don't just show up and by the luck of the draw become your president or your treasurer and so forth. Does anybody else have any stories to tell or any other information that way?
No, not in recruiting, I don't.
Okay. Bankers definitely would be a good treasury type person. For secretary, people that can be anywhere from someone who is an administrative assistant, from paralegal, various different positions that would be able to do secretary. And then, of course, people that are in management or who want to be in management could be in your president and president-elect role. Directors can come from a wide range of different people in the community. Are there opportunities for growth in your club? So you might think at first, well, yeah, we need to grow members, but what about opportunities for the new member to grow in your club? I mentioned that there's some young people out there that want to have the opportunity to be leaders in a nonprofit. So this could be an opportunity for them to grow and learn. They can learn project management skills. They can learn how to chair a project. They can learn financial management. They can learn advertising and marketing. You might be able to intentionally look for somebody who is good with social media, or somebody that's in the marketing area that would be able to help you with flyers and that sort of thing. Anything else that you could add on that? Anyone? That's it. That is the form. You'll notice that it does not have really an indication of what photos to send to them or whatever. I'm sure that Megan will either work with you on that, or if you now know that you are needing to provide some photos, you might want to create those photos or go through your photos and see what ones might be good for the flyers. Any questions? Did I cover those obstacles, Miles and Crystal?
Yes.
Good. All right, very good. So the Greater Richmond Club, Pat Robson and Crystal and myself, I think Lynn Leach and a couple others met at the President-Elect training at the end of it. And Pat Robson is dedicated toward making sure that I got the wrong screen up. Hold one second. Let me pull up the right one. Pat Robson has, excuse me one second. He's decided to be president again. And his main goal is to build up the club and find somebody to take over. He's kind of burnout and has been involved with Leaders in Freedom for many, many years, and the club itself. And he kind of wants to build it up and hand off the baton and watch it flourish. So he sent this to us, Crystal and myself, and then some of his members and our membership specialist, Megan, International, to review this letter that he put together. And I want to read this email because, again, we're talking about intentional recruiting. This is exactly what he's doing. It says, in my practice, I just purchased an advertising package with the website www.nodifferent.net, which targets people who advocate for developmental disabilities. I'm using the directory of advertisers as a tool for names of prospective members. So far, I'm up to autism, and I've probably gleaned 50 to 60 names of professionals who treat or assist people with autism. I propose that we mail the attached letter to each person on the list at their business address. That means downloading this letter, altering the salutation and other individualized parts, mailing it, and hopefully handling responses. We can reimburse postage, but if you'd like to help the club by donating the postage. This may be the answer to, I don't know anyone to invite. And you'll find that a lot of people in your club, it's like, well, yeah, I don't know anyone that I could invite to the club and so forth. So this can kind of give you, and this is kind of the same type of idea. If you go to the Chamber of Commerce, your biggest deal in the Chamber of Commerce is being able to get people, new people that can be contacted in the future. So I want to go ahead and show you this letter. Now, my first impression was it was kind of a long letter. He wanted to keep it to one page, which I think is great, kind of like a resume. You don't want to make it too long. But after reading it, I couldn't find a lot to edit out of. But you might want to take some look at it. You may want to decide to use some of it, maybe not use some of it. Maybe you make it into an introductory letter and then you do a follow-up letter. But this one says, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is blank, because again, we're going to have different people mail this out. And I've been a member of Greater Richmond Civitan Club since blank. And here's where the why comes in. So I joined Civitan because of why. I continue to be in Civitan because of why. And then it talks about the Greater Richmond Club. It's been around for 95 years. It emphasizes this is not a donation request, so that people hopefully will continue to read. It talks about Civitan motto, Builders of Good Citizenship. It talks about the different projects that they do to benefit the Civitan International Research Center and what the research center does. It talks about that they're the 98th club, founded in 1923. We meet for dinner. So it talks about when they meet. Presently we have 16 members and we're hoping to grow substantially. So that right up front there, he's telling them that this is what they're looking to do. Then it talks about these causes or these projects. So including the Down Syndrome Organization, Buddy Walk, 5,000 meals for hungry, day off for spouses of actively deployed servicemen. So talking about other things, not just for individuals with developmental disabilities. Selling onions, fruitcake, White House ornaments, holding yard sales. They talk about having a speaker at our meetings and what some of those have been. So it's not just nonprofit organizations. They had an immigration attorney, a cattle farmer, an inventor, and so forth. Fellowship. So he's looking at service, knowledge, and fellowship, brings that into the letter. Talks about, I think this is funny where it says laughed at our lack of bowling skills. So he's brought some humor in it. And then it says, I would like to personally invite you to maybe my guest at our next meeting. If you're interested in attending or would like to meet up with another time to learn about Civitan, please contact me at this email account or a phone number. And then it has the person, Civitan, that it gave out the letter. Again, you need to follow up. This is not a one-time thing. You're going to need to follow up with maybe an email, maybe a phone call, maybe both. But this is an exact method of intentional recruiting. In this case, people who work with individuals with autism, but you look at this, and this can be very similar to something that you send out to a banker, to a lawyer, to an insurance agent, to anyone that would be in a chamber listing, or some type of phone book for all that matters. It doesn't have to be something that you buy, or from like the Chamber of Commerce pay. In fact, there are some Chamber of Commerce directories that are out there that you don't have to pay for, or there might be somebody in your club that belongs to the chamber that you might have access to that. I'd be careful, because you don't want to indicate that you are part of the chamber if you're not, but it gives you some information on people. I've talked about in a different workshop, LinkedIn. I've had good success of finding people in different areas to that are maybe second or third connections to my connections in LinkedIn that are insurance agents, or they're bankers and so forth. And I can use my banking background to reach out to them, say, hey, I was with Wells Fargo for 25 years. I know bankers can get a lot out of Civitan, so I can share those. Why are those experiences with the people that I'm recruiting? So this is very timely. Just this week, this Greater Richmond has been working on this. So this came out just this week, and I thought this is a great example of a club that needs to rebuild, wants to rebuild, and this is an avenue they're going to do. Another idea that I shared with them is the possibility of doing a Servant's Heart Award. This is a program that International has come up with to recognize people in your community that either professionally or through volunteer organizations provide dedicated service toward individuals that are disabled. And you can focus on developmental disabilities, you can focus on physical disabilities for these awards and so forth. And this could be a gala, or it could be just part of your meeting that you have you invite these folks and you pay for their meal and you recognize, kind of like the clergy appreciation. It could be something as simple as that. Maybe you give out certificates to everyone that comes as Servant's Hearts Award. Or if you did have a gala and you had a big deal with it and you had a contest, so to speak, you'd be able to do it that way. So the Servant's Heart Award isn't one thing. It's a kind of a title of something that clubs can do, and how you do it can be up to whatever you want to do in your club. But that can be a great opportunity to recruit new members, because you're going to be recognizing people that are in the community, helping individuals that we serve, as well as their friends and family is going to find out about the organization and so forth. So this was supposed to be about 45 minutes or so long. We're coming right up on that. I'd like to open up the floor to ask you if you have anything to add, and if you can also provide any input on what you would like to see in next month's workshop.
Mark, do you have a copy of the letter, or can you show us the letter on the screen?
I am sharing it, aren't I?
No.
Oh, I apologize for that. I switched it over and I had it on my screen. Did that work?
It did.
All right. Let me go through this a little bit again. Thanks, Mary, for letting me know that didn't work right. So it says, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is blank. This is where the member would put the information in about their name, and they've been in the Richmond Civitan Club since whatever date or year. And then the whys, why the person joined Civitan, and share a personal testimony of why they continue to be in Civitan. Talks about the Greater Richmond Club and that this is not a donation request, because a lot of these people probably get a lot of donation requests. Civitan's motto is Builders of Good Citizenship, and then talks about what the club does for helping the Civitan International Research Center and what the research center is researching. Again, more about the Greater Richmond Civitan Club, when they were founded and where they meet and when. Talks about service knowledge and fellowship, and then talks about the different service projects they do. And then they talk about the guest speakers. And then they talk about the fellowship, the fun things they do after hours, so to speak.
So Mark, are you going to be posting this stuff up over on the Chesapeake website? And then maybe you could put or leave this as a PDF for people to look at or to download and to paraphrase or so?
I'll ask Pat Robson just to make sure he's okay with that. I'm sure he will, but I would like to get his permission.
Sure.
Yeah, I think these are examples that I think we should. I'll work with Crystal and Mary DeFavio to have the link to the recording as well as some of the information out there. That's a great idea.
I was planning on having the video, the Zoom, published.
Yes.
And of course, I agree with Mark about asking Pat's permission. But definitely, like the intentional recruiting, I'll have put out there. Any literature that we talk about, I'll ask Juan to put out for future reference. In fact, I already sent him an email asking him if he could tell me if there was a way to tell how many people have viewed the Zoom recording. So that would be helpful, I think.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or any input on next month's workshop topics? I mean, we can come up with topics, but if you have some that you really, really want to hear about, please let us know here, or as I mentioned before, my email address is civamark@gmail.com.
I think also too, some of the awards or some of the things that clubs can go for, or some of the things that I think we always, I think we always know after the fact, but never know before, or how that plays in terms of like things that we could apply for, or where to get paper, or where to get this information.
Okay. So what awards are available? Because membership and retention is involved in awards as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The Honor Club application includes that in there, especially for the Honor Club. You have to have +1 and so forth. So, okay, good. Okay. Anything else? All right, well, we're really hopeful that these intentional recruiting ideas will start to be utilized by different clubs, and that we start getting some feedback on what success stories we have out there. What was the responses back? As I mentioned to the Greater Richmond Club, I'm excited to hear what happens with this letter campaign and see if they do end up with some new members coming. The awareness is just awesome as well, because a lot of times people say, what is Civitan? And this is sometimes a seed that's planted that maybe in the future they may hear about Civitan again and the timing might be better or whatever. In some cases, you may look at this and you may say, well, we sent out 100 letters and we only got 5 people that came to the meeting or joined the club. To me, that's still a success. You may be doing kind of a shotgun approach with the letters like this. But intentional recruiting is looking at individuals and contacting them directly and inviting them to be in your club. But don't be afraid to ask, if you are not interested, who do you think would be interested? Friends, family, coworkers. Many times they'll think of somebody that would be interested in our club. Or in the case of the CPA example I gave you, I asked them if they or another person in their organization would be willing to come to our recruitment meeting and consider joining our club. So don't forget to invite others in their firm, their organization, etc. Maybe you can get one person out of the organization to join, and not maybe specifically the one that you're working on. That person might be already involved in one of the other service organizations and not be wanting to be involved with Civitan as well. But we do have quite a few people. Denise is in Rotary as well as in Civitan and so forth. So it's not that they won't join, but if they come back and say, no, I'm already part of Lions or Kiwanis or something like that, maybe they have somebody in their firm, maybe a younger executive that is moving up the ladder that might be interested in being involved with Civitan and put that on their resume and so forth.
Mark, I do have one request from somebody that would like to, at some future meeting, have an understanding of how they answer a question when they're trying to recruit somebody, and that is, how is our dues used, and what is the breakdown? So if we could put that into a meeting, and for some answers, that would help them.
Yeah, and I think we talked about that too, Crystal. I also have the list of benefits of membership that we could also share, because a lot of people might ask that question. Well, why do I have to pay dues to volunteer?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, that does go along with it.
Yeah. So we have a list. I think it's the 20 ideas of benefits of membership that I come up with. So we could share that along with that. That's good. Okay.
I think you did that for Nate.
I did. It was for a Capital Region Club. Nate Geyer, Dr. Nate Geyer, wanted to have that. We were talking about dues and why do we have to pay dues and why can't we have it a lower amount and so forth. So yeah, we came up with the benefits of membership of Civitan. So that's good. All right, well, if there's nothing else today, thank you very much for joining us. Please do stay tuned for the fourth Sunday of each month. We'll have this workshop at 6 p.m. So please tell others. And because of holidays, we may have a little bit of adjustment to that, but we'll notify people at that time. So if there's nothing else, I guess we'll adjourn.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome. Take care.